Welcome to another video in the Study With Me series where I cover all 14 categories to give you the best possible chance of passing your theory test first time. In this video, we're going to cover the rules of the road. Hi, I'm Dorian from Think to Success. In this video, we're going to cover the rules of the road in the Study With Me series. I'm going to leave the link to the playlist in the description below. So if you are struggling in a particular category, you can go and watch that one. But I would suggest watching the whole playlist to give yourself the best possible understanding of what the theory test is looking for. Let me jump onto my desktop and get the questions up so we can get started. So the first question, you're turning right onto a dual carriageway. What should you do if the central reservation is too narrow to contain your vehicle? Now, if the central reservation is too narrow, you need to wait for both sides to be clear at the same time so you can go in one motion. We're looking for something along those lines. Wait until the road is clear in both directions. That's what we just said. But as I keep saying it in my past videos, read all the answers just in case there's a better answer on there. Stop in the first lane so the other vehicles give way. That's not safe. Proceed to the central reservation. Let's try that again. Proceed to the central reservation and wait. Again, that's not safe because it's not wide enough to fit your vehicle. Emerge slightly to show your intentions. Emerging slightly means coming out. And if you're coming out when it's not safe, you're causing other vehicles to slow down or change direction, which, remember, the theory test is always about the safety factor. So it's going to be the first one that we clicked. Who has priority at an unmarked crossroads? If the crossroad is unmarked, that means no one has priority because there's no markings on the floor. So it's just a four-way and everyone's going for it basically. So nobody has priority in this given situation. So let's see what options they gave us. No one has priority. First one out. The faster vehicle, again, the safety factor. The larger vehicle, safety factor. The smaller vehicle, safety factor. So the safest one is going to be no one has priority. So you have to go with care and with caution. What's the speed limit for a car towing a caravan on a dual carriageway? Let's read that again. What's the speed limit for a car towing a caravan on a dual carriageway? So let me just explain. A dual carriageway, the definition of a dual carriageway, simple definition of a dual carriageway, it's got a central reservation in the middle, so i.e. a crash barrier, so you can't go on the other side. Now, the way that I normally explain to my pupils in the classroom, know what you can do as a car driver, because remember you're studying for a car test, so know what you can do. Cars can do 70 miles an hour on a dual carriageway. I'll just repeat that. Cars can do 70 miles an hour on a dual carriageway stroke motorway. It's asking you about a towing vehicle. When it asks you that, you just drop it by 10. So if you know what you can do as a car driver, anytime the question comes up, towing vehicles, heavy good vehicles, you just drop it by 10. So the answer for this one is going to be 60 miles an hour. So let me just read the question again. What's the speed limit for a car towing a caravan on a dual carriageway? So remember, as a car, you can do 70. Because you're towing, you're going to drop it by 10. 10 take away 70 is 60. It's going to be that one. I'll still check the answers. 70 miles an hour, no. 40 miles an hour, no. And 50 miles an hour, no. Where will you see these red and white markers? Always look at the image, get all the information you possibly can. If you didn't know, these are countdown markers and they're 300 yards, 200 yards, 100 yards, and the colors are telling you where you would find it. Green and white is dual carriageways. Blue and white are motorways. Black and white is an approach to a roundabout, and the red and white one's an approach to a level crossing without gate or barrier, or a concealed entrance or exit, or a concealed level crossing. They can word it either way, but red and white's either an approach to a level crossing without gate or barrier, or approach to a concealed entrance or exit or concealed level crossing. So it depends on how they word it. So let's see what they've got. Approaching a concealed level crossing. Seems all the answers seem to be the first one in these tests. Approaching the end of a dual carriageway. Dual carriage, it wouldn't be the end of anyway. Yes, sorry, yes, it would be. Say that again. It would be an approach to the end of a dual carriageway. Green and white would be to the end of a dual carriageway because it's counting you down. But that would be green and white. I'm not going to edit that out. Just show you that I'm human. I make mistakes as well. That's why I say read the questions carefully. Approaching a concealed speed limit sign. No. Approaching the end of a motorway. And again, yes, you can have them approach the end of a motorway, but it'd be blue and white, not red and white. So it's going to be the first one that we ticked. Which vehicle is most likely to take an unusual course at a roundabout? Right, they can give you different options with this one. An unusual route by a vehicle. It could be, it's got a vehicle on this one, so I'm assuming it's talking about a motor vehicle of some kind, but it can just say which road user would take an unusual route. And it can be horses, cyclists. In this case, they're talking about a vehicle, so I'm going to assume it's lorries. Those would take an unusual route. So let's see which one they given us. So just read the question again. Which vehicle is most likely to take an unusual course at a roundabout? Milk float, no. A state car, no. Delivery van, no. A long vehicle. A long vehicle, as in a lorry, has to swing out to get around the corners. You guys as car drivers should stay a meter from the left. Lorries will have to swing out, otherwise they're going to be mounting the pavement or the curb. When are you allowed to park in a parking bay for disabled driver? The only time you can park up in a parking bay for disabled is if you've got a badge, a blue badge. Outside of that, you should never park up in a disabled spot. So the first one, when you have a wheelchair. When you have a wheelchair, it's a possibility. It doesn't say about blue badge, but it's a possibility. So you can tick it because you can always change it as you go through the other answers. When you have a blue badge, that's a better answer because it's saying blue badge, which is what the disabled spot's about. When you have an advanced driver certificate, no. When you have an adapted vehicle, and again, answers no. You are waiting at a level crossing. What must you do for train passing but the lights keep flashing? Let's read that again. You're waiting at a level crossing. What must you do if a train passes but the lights keep flashing? Keep waiting. Trains normally go in pairs. There's always one pass. If one passes from right to left, there'll be another one coming from left to right. So if the barriers are down, the lights keep flashing, there's another one on its way. Just keep waiting. Park and investigate, no. Edge over the stop line and look for trains, again, safety factor, no. Phone the signal operator, no. Carry on waiting, safest option, yes. A cycle lane marked by a solid white line is in operation. What does this mean for car drivers? Again, look at the image. Solid white line, solid line on the floor, 40 miles an hour. It means drivers cannot cross that line solid. So you cannot cross the line, which means you cannot use a cycle lane. They may park in the lane, no. They may drive in the lane at any time, no. They mustn't drive along the lane, yes. They may use the lane when necessary, again, no. So it's that one. What's the meaning of this sign? This sign is a parking restriction or a waiting restriction. If it was a red X, it's no stopping at any time. So this sign normally means you can stop, drop off your passengers and pick up your passengers, but you can't wait for them. So drop them off, pick them up, but there's no waiting allowed. So it's a waiting restriction or a parking restriction. So let's see what they've given us. Waiting restriction. That's the first one out. No entry. No entry be red at the bottom, red at the top and white in the middle. School crossing patrol, no. And national speed limit. National speed limit would be black and white circle. How should you signal if you're going straight ahead at a roundabout? With this one, they are talking about big roundabouts. When this question comes up, they're always relating to big roundabouts. And mini roundabouts, you do not have to signal to come off a mini roundabout because it's too small, compact, so you could lose control trying to change signals. But on a big roundabout, because it's obviously bigger, you have time, space to signal to come off. So when this question comes up, you're talking about a big roundabout. So I'm just going to break it down for you so you can understand it. How should you signal if you're going straight ahead at a roundabout? I will add, when you're going straight ahead at a big roundabout, there is no signal on approach. There is no signal for straight ahead on the car. There's 3 signals on the car if you didn't realize. There's left signal, right signal, and your brake lights for slowing down. So there's no signal on approach, but you signal left as you're leaving the roundabout or signal left after you pass the exit you no longer need. So we're looking for something along those lines. Signal right on approach. If you're signaling right, you're telling people you're turning right, so that's going to be wrong straight away. Signal left after you leave the roundabout and enter the new road. Signal left after you leave the roundabout. So it means you've left it, then you're giving a signal, which means that's way too late. Signal right on approach. Again, once you signal right, you're telling people you're turning right, so it's going to be wrong. And signal left just after you pass the exit before the one you're going to take, which is going to be that one. What signal should you give when you're going straight ahead of the roundabout? That's how the theory test comes up sometimes. It's worded slightly differently. Let's see what the options they give us. So I'll just read the question again because it's very similar to the previous question. What signal should you give when you're going straight ahead of the roundabout? Don't signal at any time. You've got to signal. It's a big roundabout they're talking about, as I mentioned previously. Signal right when you're approaching right. Again, once you've got signal right approaching, you're turning right. Signal left before leaving the roundabout. Signal left before leaving the roundabout. It's going to be that one. Signal left when you're approaching the roundabout. And again, if you signal left on approach the roundabout, you're telling people you're turning left. But take note, the question's word is slightly different and the answer is different. And I will stress, I say this a lot in my videos, do not memorize the questions, do not memorize the answers, because once you do that, this is different from what you memorized. What's going to happen now, you're going to be slightly confused and you're going to start to panic. But if you understand the question, you understand the answers, you have a better chance of passing your theory test first time out. So understand it, don't memorize it. You're turning right at a crossroads. An oncoming driver is also turning right. What's the advantage of turning behind the oncoming vehicle? Just gonna read that again, it's a little bit long. You're turning right at a crossroads. So it's a crossroads, four-way. An oncoming driver is also turning right. What's the advantage of turning right behind the oncoming vehicle? The advantage of turning right behind the oncoming vehicle, if you've got a car coming towards you and you're going up, so you're turning like that. The advantage of turning behind the vehicle is you can see 100% of cars coming, and that's what we call offside to offside. If you do near side to near side, the oncoming vehicle's blocking your view, but you'll understand more when you're taking driving lessons as well. Your instructor can explain that more, but this is offside to offside. The advantage of doing this, you can see a lot clearer down the road. You have a clearer view of any approaching traffic. Yep, it's going to be that one. You'll use less fuel because you can stay in a higher gear. No. You'll be able to turn without stopping. You're turning across traffic, so that's not going to be possible. You'll have more time to turn again. No, it's going to be the first one. You see these double white lines along the center of the road. When may you park on the left? So again, always look at the image. So with images, you always imagine yourself going up. So when you're doing images, always imagine yourself going up. So you're on the left-hand side going up. So you've got the broken lines to your right. If you was coming down, you'd have the solid white line to your right. So they're talking about you going up, the lines are broken. That's your parking restriction. That goes back to that red circle that we saw earlier. So it's a parking restriction, but it's in line form. So you can set down your passengers, pick up your passengers, but you can't wait for them. So we're looking for something along those lines. So during daylight hours, no. To pick up or set down passengers, yes, that's your restriction. When there are no yellow lines, no. If a line nearest to you is broken, no. You're approaching a busy junction. What should you do when at the last moment you realize you're in the wrong lane? So the junction's busy. What should you do when you're at the last moment you realize you're in the wrong lane? Keep going. If you're in the wrong lane, you're in the wrong lane, just keep going. You slowing down or trying to change direction at the last moment, it does say last moment, is not going to be safe. Continuing that lane, that's the safest option. Use arm signals to help change lanes, no. Force your way. Again, once it's got force, you know it can't be safe, so you can eliminate that. Stop onto the air again. Once you stop in unnecessarily, again, it can't be safe. So it's going to be the first one. Which road user benefits from toucan crossing? Which road users benefit from toucan crossing? Right, this is all about your crossings, your pelicans, your puffins. This one little tip, toucans, it's toucan cross at the same time, as a cyclist can legally ride across and your pedestrian can walk across. So your cyclist can legally ride across, so the benefits are either going to be cyclists and pedestrians or one or the other, depending on how they want to word it. But toucan stands for two can cross at the same time. Tram and train drivers, no. Bus and lorry drivers, no. Cyclists and pedestrians, yes. Car drivers and motorcyclists, no. You're traveling along a residential street. There are parked vehicles on the left-hand side. Why should you keep your speed down? So it's residential. Children could be playing, run out between parked cars. Someone can open their car door. So those are reasons. So something along those lines that we're looking out for. There may be delivery lorries on the street. No. So that oncoming traffic can see you more clearly. No. Children may run out between the vehicles. Yes. You may set off car alarms. No. You want to park and you see this sign. What should you do on the days and times shown? So again, take the information. It's a meter zone, so it means you need to park in the bay at a meter. What you're going to need to do on the days and times shown is pay for it. Park in the bay and pay. Yes. Park on the yellow lines and not pay. No. Park on yellow lines and pay. No. Park in the bay and not pay. So it's going to be park in the bay and make sure you pay your dues. What's the meaning of this? That's national speed limit. And that's the national speed limit for the road you're driving on. So if you're driving on a dual carriageway, it's going to be 70 miles an hour. And if you're driving on a single carriageway, it's going to be 60 miles an hour. But the question said, what's the meaning of the sign? So it's a national speed limit, full stop. So no entry for vehicles, no. Local speed limit applies, no. No weight on the carriageway, no. National speed limit applies, yes. When may you drive without wearing your seatbelts? Right, with this one, there's two reasons. There's only two occasions, so it's not reasons. There's two occasions when you can drive without your seatbelt. One of them is reversing. You can take your seatbelt off when you're reversing because it can restrict you so you don't get a good look over your shoulders, i.e. your blind spot checks. And the other one, if you got a medical certificate that exempts you from wearing the seatbelts. So they can give you either option. So remove it when you're reversing or a medical exemption certificate. So let's see what they've given us. When you're moving off on a hill, no. When you're carrying out a maneuver that includes reversing, yes. When you're driving slowly in queue in traffic, no. When you're testing your brakes, you're definitely gonna want your seatbelt on if you're gonna test your brakes. If your brakes ain't working, you ain't stopping anytime soon. The seatbelt's gonna help you. What's the nearest you may park to a junction? With this one, the nearest you can park to a junction is within 10 meters. That's the nearest you can park, so 10 meters or more. Anything less than that, technically it's illegal. So you shouldn't be parking that close to junction. It causes lorries, buses, problem getting in, getting out in tight spaces. Let's see what they've given us. 10 meters, first one out. 15 meters, no. 20 meters, no. And 12 meters, no. 10 meters. I'll give you a little tip with this as well. With meters, I'm going to contradict myself here. I say don't memorize answers. The only meter that you need to know is 10 meters, which is this one. Should not park within the junction. 45 meters is where you place a triangle from a broken down car, and 100 meters is poor visibility when you turn your lights on. It's only those 3 meters that you need to know. I'll just repeat that for you. 10 meters, you should not park within a junction. 45 meters is where you place a triangle from a broken down car. And the third one is 100 meters when you turn your lights on for poor visibility. 10, 45 and 100 meters is the only 3 set of meters that you need to know. Anything outside of that don't exist. So there you go, another test completed. Rules of the road is one of the easier sections as well. It comes down to common sense, but my advice, if you are studying, do all 14 categories. It will show you your weaknesses rather than diving in straight to do a 50-question mock test. By doing categories, it's going to give you the best possible chance of passing your theory test because you can see what category you are weak in and you can strengthen that. I will be doing a new feature, which is the question of the week, starting on Monday, where I'm going to tackle one question and give you all the possible variations of the question. I'm going to give you all the possible answers to that question. It's going to be taken from the app that I use, Driving Test Success. So if you struggle with a question, leave it in the comment below and I will feature that on the Monday in the question of the week. But hopefully you got some benefit from this. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends who are studying for the theory test. And YouTube are going to show you a video here. I'm going to do the playlist for you guys here. Go off, watch which one is convenient for you, and I will catch you in that video.